Greg Matthews, Alan Knott.
Who's that weirdo?
Daniel Sidhu, Neil Mackenzie.
Who's that weirdo?
Dwayne Leverock, Shannon Freed.
Who's that weirdo?
Chris Harris, Kevin O'Brien.
Who's that weirdo?
Good morning, good afternoon, good dawn, good dusk, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to Guerilla Cricket and the third episode of our new quizcast, Who's That Weirdo? A competition that separates the live cricketers from the dead cricketers and those who aren't cricketers, but possibly sound as if they could be. I'm Guerilla Hendo, Nigel Henderson, and I'm joined today for an absolute corker. I mean, you could only have this combination during a World Cup, I think. A World Cup year. Two incredible heavyweights of guerrilla cricket, all the way down there in that country that's a little bit down under. In fact, they're probably nearer. They are nearer to each other than we are to them by an enormous distance, because they are both in Melbourne. And first man I have to introduce is none other than jingleur extraordinaire, man with more swords and axes than you can wave a sword and axe at. It's Mog. Hello, Mog.
Hey up. Hello.
Hey up. He said hey up.
Hey up.
Hey up. He's pretending to be English. I can't believe it. And also joining us in Melbourne. I hope I'm keeping you guys up and you've got really early mornings tomorrow, have I?
Hopefully, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yep. Okay. We have none other than Forthy. Forthy, how are you?
Very happy to hear. Even more excited to see Mog effectively for the first time in the flesh. Something I can tell my grandchildren about.
The day I was on with where were you when Forthy was on with Mog? That would be what people ask instead of various things about Kennedy and things like that. Anyway,
Bastard of Box Hill versus the Ormond originator.
Something like that. I should now also introduce my Richard Osman to my Alexander Armstrong. On my left, because I forgot to introduce him last week, is none other than the Bish, Tony Bishop, who will be providing us with all and every detail about the people we talk about in this particular 40 minutes to come. And of course,
judiciously edited.
And of course, it will be the most amazing things that you've heard about people on any radio station anywhere. So, for those of you who are joining us for the first time, a quick rundown of the rules. I've had to write them down because otherwise I forget them because I'm getting a little bit elderly. So we toss to start with. Have we got a coin? We haven't got a coin.
I don't actually know.
We don't have a coin. Well, I've got Ipsy Dipsy and something like that, and we will just bring you in. Basically, I give you a name and a nationality, and you have to decide whether they are a live cricketer, a dead cricketer, or not a cricketer at all. And in fact, if you think they're not a cricketer at all, you have to say, who's that weirdo? If you get it right, it's a live or dead cricketer. Contestant then has to guess their current age or age at death for a bonus point, which they get if they are within 3 years. If, though, you get it on the nose, you get a big 4. You've just hit it through mid-wicket, clipped it away, and picked up a lovely boundary. If, however, you are wrong, the question is passed over to the opponent, who goes through the same process. If it is a weirdo, the age is not required, but you can take a wild guess at the source of their notoriety. It could be a musician, a poet, a businessman, businesswoman, weird, record breaker, comedian, politician, etc., etc. And then at the end of it, we shall add up, see who's got the most points. And of course, if you get really close a couple of times, I might use a certain amount of judiciousness to give you an extra point or half point here or there. So
you are looking very handsome today, Hendo.
Thank you very much. I think so. I do try to tell people that, but not everyone believes me. Right.
Hendo, are they Test cricketers or could be any cricketer?
Oh, it's any cricketers at all. Right. Male, female, and from any nation or associate nation, which I know will interest Mog, who I'm sure will have been catching up on his Namibians.
I've been checking out the Ugandan.
The Ugandans. I don't think we've got any Ugandans this week. I'm sorry to say that.
Damn it.
I could be bluffing you, couldn't I? I could be bluffing.
No Ugandans.
No Ugandans.
You've just lost a Ugandan audience for a start.
All right. I'll tell you what. Pick a number between 1 and 10, Mog, and tell it to me.
6.
Unfortunately, that means the toss has come down the wrong side. Forthy, you get the decision whether to bat or to put Mog in first. What are you going to do? What's the conditions looking like today?
Well, it's been a wet spring. It's overcast tonight, so I'm going to put. I'll put Mog in.
You're going to put Mog into bat. So this is your first name to deal with, Mog. I hope you're not too nervous. Just take your time.
Forthy's already mentioned Cataline in a conversation today, so his erudition has already intimidated me.
Well, I know he's like that. You know, he writes these incredible smackdom articles, which I feel like I've read a philosophy essay by the time I got to the bottom of it.
It's not going to help me with this game, though, is it?
It's not going to help you with this game. Well, it might do, because there may be philosophers. Who knows?
That's true.
Yeah, so it could be. Okay, the first name that I'm going to read you and give to you, Mog, is Gregory McLaren, New Zealand. Live cricketer, dead cricketer, or who's that weirdo? Gregory.
He's obviously he's a dead cricketer.
No, he's not a dead cricketer. So I can pass it straight over to Forthy. So he's not a dead cricketer. So he's either a live cricketer or a who's that weirdo. What do you reckon? Forthy?
Well, McLaren sounds like one of those names from the sort of late 19th century. I'm thinking of Archie McLaren.
Yes.
I think that he's a. Did you say a live cricketer, Mark?
He said dead cricketer.
You said dead cricketer.
Yeah.
In which case, I'll say, oh shit, there aren't New Zealanders though.
Yeah, but McLaren, it sounds such a Kiwi-sounding name, isn't it?
I feel I should have taken longer to answer now.
Yeah, I think. You see, you were intimidated, weren't you?
I'll say cricketer, but whatever the opposite of what Mog said was.
So you think he's a live cricketer, and I can tell you that Gregory McLaren is neither a dead cricketer or a live cricketer. He's a who's that weirdo? Tell us more about Gregory McLaren, Tony.
I can do that if you wish. Yeah, so you're right. Well, he's better known by the name of Lucky Diamond Rich. And he was born in 1971. His age is slightly indeterminate, but it's either 50 or 51, therefore. He is the world's most tattooed man. 100% covered in tattoos is Gregory Paul, or Lucky Diamond.
Eyeballs as well.
His entire body, including his mouth, ears, foreskin, even the insides of his eyelids are covered in tattoo. He's held that title since 2006, which you all know very well. He took over from Tom Leopard, known as the Leopard Man of Skye. He also used to be, or still does, he dazzles the crowd as a sword swallower and juggler while riding a 13-foot unicycle. He's done that in Covent Garden. He has the word nomad on his stomach and Buddhist writing on his arms, and he lives a rather nomadic lifestyle and performs now still, I believe, in Adelaide in Australia.
Mog, you sounded as if as soon as we said Lucky Diamond Rich, as if you actually knew who we were talking about. Did you know him?
Absolutely not.
Oh, right.
Confidence is important, I feel.
Sounded good. How the hell do you tattoo someone on the inside of their eyelids?
Well, I was more intrigued by his foreskin, I've got to be honest. I mean, do they have like some sort of extendable message?
Oh, please. Oh, yes, I suppose it could be, couldn't it? Depending on...
If he's 100% tattooed, how can you tell what's written on him?
That's a very good point. Yes.
You can see plenty of pictures of him. You can find him in the Guinness Book of Records.
Philosophical question, which I'll put to Forth. Yeah. How would you know?
I was going to ask the same question. What defines 100%? Because there's got to be gaps in the ink.
Yeah. Good point.
Well, I don't have a picture of him here, but one is... He has been quoted as saying, "I'm not a lunatic. I'm in the most published book in the world." The
Bible.
Well, that's what I thought. I don't recall the book of Gregory of Lucky Diamond Rich, but maybe there was one.
One of those apocryphal.
Failing that, it's the Guinness Book of Records.
Yeah, that's what
there it is.
It's so like being a completist in anything, though, really, isn't it? Once all your skin's gone, that's kind of like the end of the journey. Who's the only man in the world then who can't get a tattoo because he's full up?
Well, you could open him up and you could start etching his bones or the inside of his skin.
Do it from the inside. Now I
hadn't thought of that.
That's incredible.
No, that's next.
Yeah, that'd be the next thing. That's. I mean, it throws up all sorts of possibilities, doesn't it? Really, but I'd like to know a little bit more about him and perhaps get him on a show at some point. That would be quite good fun. Anyway, moving on. Since that Forthy put Mog into bat, it means that Forthy now has to reply.
Okay.
And I have another name for you, and the name that I have is Frederick Fane, England. Live cricketer, dead cricketer, or who's that weirdo?
Frederick Fane.
Yeah.
Frederick Fane. Frederick Fane. It doesn't sound in. Frederick sounds again like a 19th century name, although it's come back in again a bit recently, isn't it?
Oh, it has. Yes, yes.
But you get little
Freddy's and things. Yes, yes.
kicking around children's. Frederick Fane.
Frederick Flintoff.
Live.
I'm going to say. Did you say England?
I did say England. Yes.
Dead cricketer.
Dead cricketer, absolutely on the nose. He is a dead cricketer. You get the first 2 points of the show today. I'm going to have to sort of fill you in as we go. 2 points to Forthy. He is indeed a dead cricketer. Now, this is the point. Can you get a bonus point? How old was Frederick Fane when he died?
Well, process of elimination. I don't think he was post-war because Frederick Fane. He may even be pre-First World War. He could have died. It could be a tragic story. Oh, so it's got to be how old was he when he died? Okay.
Yes.
Which is absolutely nothing to do with anything I've just said. It doesn't matter when.
Not how old is he now, because he's obviously been
He's
around
dead,
for a while.
yeah.
But
I will say, I get the feeling, I get a vibe that Frederick Fane was. I think the reason you wouldn't choose him if he died at the age of 78. I mean, what would be the point? Well, you might have done.
Yeah,
So
this is the beauty of this competition, you see.
I could have done,
See
or he
the
could
nuances
be.
of it.
Yeah, he could be. He's either like something like 37 or 96. I'll go for 96.
No, you're nowhere near. Well, you're not that far away, to be honest. He went the right way. He was 85 when he died in 1960. So you don't get the bonus point. You do get the 2 points for getting a dead cricketer. Don't get the bonus point.
Okay.
Tony has more information about the great Frederick.
Great Frederick Fane. Well, I can tell you, he was born in County Kildare and he died in Kelvedon Hatch in Brentwood.
Brentwood.
In 1960, as we've said, at the age of 85, he played 14 tests between 1906 and 1910. He averaged 26, had a higher score there of 143 versus South Africa at the Wanderers in 1906, although England still lost by 243 runs. He was caught at the end of that innings by the great Albert Vogler off the bowling of the one and only Sibley Snook. What a was him on that, indeed. He captained England as well on a couple of occasions. Good-looking front foot player, that is him. He also represented Essex with great distinction for 20 years and scored close to 20,000 first-class runs for them.
So I'm a bit disappointed you guys haven't heard of him. I'd have thought, he's
that Vogler guy, was he South African?
He was Albert Vogler, yes, indeed.
Yeah, so
he is
fuck you, Henderson. I know all about this.
I'm going to give you half a bonus point for that, Mike. There you go. See, now you'll be nice to me. So moving on from Frederick Fane, who should that come up in a quiz that you find yourself over Christmas, you'll know all about him. Right, moving on back to
and you'll be having a very dull Christmas.
Oh, now, yes. Well, won't we all?
It'd be my sort of Christmas, but
absolutely.
Best Christmas crackers ever.
Now, I'm thinking that you guys should get this one. Dexter Kruger, Australia, live cricketer, dead cricketer. Who's that weirdo? Dexter Kruger.
I won't just immediately blurt out an answer this time. I'll
put it through the mod computing facility.
Dexter, that's an old name. I've already forgotten his surname. Kruger, that's
not to be confused with Freddie.
That's of German extraction, so he's clearly going to be from South Australia.
Oh, I like the way you're thinking.
And
Nightmare on Grace Road.
Nightmare at Vulture Street.
I'm going to say again, dead cricketer.
No, you're absolutely wrong. It's not a dead cricketer, which means it goes over to Forthy. Is he therefore a live cricketer or a who's that weirdo?
You say his name again, Dexter Kruger.
Kruger, yeah, Kruger, like the national park in South Africa.
No relation to Freddie.
No relation to Freddie. Done that.
No relation.
Sorry, pay attention.
With a K, not that it makes any difference.
Okay, yes, it is. Yeah.
Okay, Dexter Kruger. He's going to be a weirdo.
You're absolutely right. You get a bonus point for saying that he is a weirdo. He is a weirdo. And why exactly is he a weirdo? Tony?
He is Australia's, or was
Australian is weirdo.
Australia's oldest man.
Oi.
He died at the age of 111 in 2021. He's a Queenslander, and he attributed his longevity to the unusual diet of chicken brains and a simple lifestyle. I'm not sure he was the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I'll read you his quote, which was, "Chicken brains, you know, chickens have a head, and in there's a brain, and they are delicious little things. They're only one bite big." Apparently, that was the wisdom of Australia's oldest man, Dexter Kruger.
That's what's in chicken McNuggets. So sure.
Do you know what's really
There
really?
was there was a chicken in America. Was it in the 50s or 60s? And they cut his head off and they kept him alive for
it's for about 2 days or something, wasn't it?
yes.
It was for a long
2
time.
years.
It was for quite a while.
I'll tell you one other interesting fact, which very relevant actually, very timely. Apparently, had a big problem on Twitter because Twitter couldn't recognise anybody born before 1910. Therefore, assumed they didn't actually exist.
That's ridiculous.
So he had a big problem doing that.
Do you think? I think what is really great about it is that English had the last laugh because he died at 111. Nelson.
He wrote 12 books. He wrote 12 books. He was raised by German immigrants, and the last was just before he sadly passed, and it was his autobiography.
Oh, well, we'll try and get a copy of that for some lunchtime during the Pakistan series. Right.
Can I get a half a point for the German background? I worked that out.
Yeah, all right, I'll give you a half
It's
point.
the only
Hang on,
fucking way
I've
I'm
got
getting
a
any
German
points.
fact. Okay, I'll give you another half point if you can think of a recent Australian Test cricketer with German heritage, Bob. And
Hang on, you can't. You can't go 3 points away.
Hang on, Oxford. What is it? I don't know. He goes to one live World Cup final and he thinks he can do anything, doesn't he? Really unbelievable.
Oh, okay.
Unbelievable
Sorry.
behaviour. That, of course, is in my remit only to give out. these-
Sorry, I was thinking of Justin Langer. He's got German heritage, isn't he?
Right. Well, moving on. Would you believe we have another Australian, Thomas Wall, for the dead cricketer, live cricketer, or who's that weirdo? Thomas Wall.
WALL.
That's the one. I hope you're not looking it up on your computer. I hope you haven't got someone feeding you information. One of your children, your wife, cat, dog, rabbit.
Thomas. I'm just looking at Blink Twice. Thomas Wall. No, none of that. Thomas Wall. Doesn't sound like a cricketer's name, apart from stonewalling, maybe.
Did I hear someone cough in the background? Was that a major? Carry on.
I was going to do that joke later, so thanks.
Sorry about that. I've taken all your best material.
Thomas Wall?
Dead cricketer, live cricketer, or who's that weirdo? Thomas Wall.
Tom Wall. I'm going to go with live cricketer.
No, you're wrong. I'm afraid to say he is not a live cricketer, which means it goes over to Mog. Is Thomas Wall a dead cricketer or who's that weirdo?
I'm going to stick with you. Dead cricketer.
You think he's a dead cricketer? And you're absolutely right for a bonus point.
Oh,
my goodness me! What a game this is becoming. It's now 3-2.
I'm properly on the board.
And another bonus point if you can tell me at what age he died. Thomas Wall.
I'm going to say he died during the First Battle of Ypres in 1916. So he was 32. He was a first lieutenant in the Australian Imperial Infantry.
I think so.
So yes, 32. He died at 32.
I'm afraid no bonus point for you on this occasion, Mog, because he didn't die in the first battle of whatever it was you said, in the Australian Imperial something or other.
Wipers.
No, I'm afraid he was 76 when he died in 1981.
I was close.
You were very close, very close. You were only 49 years out. So tell us more about Thomas Wall, Tony.
Well, I can do that. His name was Thomas Wellborn Wall. He died in 1981, as we said, at the age of 76. For some reason, he was known more commonly as Tim. He was a right-arm quick bowler, right-hand bat. He was born in Semaphore in Adelaide. Whether people sort of walked up and down the high street there waving flags at each other, I don't know, but that's where he was born.
I've been there, and they do.
Do they, by Joe? He's one of only 3 bowlers to take all 10 wickets in a Sheffield Shield innings at the time. There may be more now. And he was for a time Australia's a limited time Australia's best fast bowler. He took 16 wickets in the Bodyline series actually.
Wow.
32-33 at an average of 25 and a half. He got Herbert Sutcliffe 4 times.
Wow.
He was remembered as a bit of a trier and a nearly man, but he at least had his name at the top of Australian bowling in that series.
Well, I must admit, I'm quite shocked that you two guys living out there in Australia, Australian blood in some of you, not in all of you. And the fact is, this is a man who took, 16 wickets in the Bodyline series?
He did indeed.
Never heard of it? I mean, how are we ever going to hold up or put our faces and names to faces in the future
And
with
the great Herbert Sutcliffe
with the
4 times.
4 times Sutcliffe. I mean, you should be
but
yourself, guys.
which BBL team did he play for? Of course, I'm not going to fucking care who he is.
He might be. I think he might have got a game with the Team Abu Dhabi or Team New York Rangers or whatever they're called in the Abu Dhabi T10. That
Who's the Adelaide? It'd be the Strikers, wouldn't it? If he was from Adelaide.
The Adelaide Strikers, it would. Yeah, absolutely. All right, moving on back to Mog, and these will be the last 2 before we have the break, and then Chris Woke, our social justice warrior, come swing bowler, will be having a few words while you maybe run off and visit the little boys' room. Justin Greaves, West Indies, live cricketer, dead cricketer, or who's that weirdo? Justin Greaves.
Just in case, just incredible.
Yeah,
Just in...
that'd be great if there was someone called Just Incredible.
There was a wrestler called Just Incredible, but it wasn't his real name. Is that worth a bonus point? No. I'm going to say, who's that weirdo?
No, you're absolutely wrong. This is hilarious.
I'm fucked at this game.
Completely all over the shop at the moment. So, Justin Greaves, what did you say he was? Who's that weirdo? No, he's not who's that weirdo. So, is he a live cricketer or a dead cricketer, Forthy, for a bonus?
I'll go for... I mean, people didn't used to get called Justin way back when, so he must be a live cricketer.
He is a live cricketer. You're absolutely right. It's another point to Forthy. And if you can get how old he currently is, you may get another point. And you get 4. If you get it on the if you get it on the nub, you get an extra 4.
I'm going to go by a guy I've already mentioned on this podcast, Justin Langer, and I'm going to assume that people get called names, in cohorts. Like when we were at school, everyone was called Paul or Andrew or Simon or something. Now it's all Lachlan. Anyway, so Justin Langer, what's he now? Early 40s, I'm guessing. So I'm going to go 42.
No, you're absolutely nowhere near. No bonus point for you. Justin Greaves, West Indies, live cricketer, is a mere 28. What can you tell us about Justin Greaves?
I can tell you, Justin Pierre Greaves is from Barbados. In fact, he's an all-rounder, right-arm medium, right-hand bat. He's played for Barbados and Barbados Royals, West Indies B, and in fact, West Indies under-19. He's also played for Sefton Park Cricket Club in the Liverpool and District League, which I'm sure Gary will have told you. And he also came to England as well in 2014 to play for Frinton-on-Sea. Well, who hasn't?
Yeah.
And he helped them to finish in second place in the 2 Counties League and gain promotion to the East Anglian Premier Cricket League. So what a success story he's been.
Yeah, absolutely. Haven't seen him playing international cricket yet, but there's still time. Oh, there's a Test match starting tonight, isn't there? In Australia.
So it's already...
Has it started?
Already had the first day.
Oh, we had the first day. That was a bit sneaky of them. What happened? Who did anything? Did Tajanareen Chandrapal get to play?
No, Australia batted first, and David Warner was out for 5, I think.
Yes.
And after that, I laughed myself so sore I couldn't be bothered watching anymore.
Labuschagne made about 150 something the last time I looked. Was that? And it's still there.
Okay.
Awesome prick.
Moving on to the final one before we have the break. Whose go is it, by the way? I think it's
Mine, I think.
It's 4.
Yeah, I've failed 28 times in a row. So yeah.
Now another Australian. Would you believe it? We're spoiling you today, even though you don't seem to know any of them. Mervyn Waite, dead cricketer, live cricketer, or who's that weirdo? Mervyn Waite.
That's hard because there was a Mervyn Hughes, but it feels more like an older name. So for whatever reason, I'm going to say dead cricketer.
Yes, you're absolutely right. Mervyn Waite is a dead Australian cricketer. And you get another 2 points, and you're steaming into the lead as we go into the break. Tell us, before we hear from Chris Woke, what you know about Mervyn Waite.
No, hang on. Do I have to guess how old he was?
Oh, yes, you've got, yes. You've got to get a bonus point for that. If you guess his age upon death.
68.
Oh, you're not too far away, but you're not close enough to get a bonus point, I'm afraid. He was...
Bonus half a point?
No. 74 when he died in 1985. Tell us more, Tony.
Indeed, Mervyn George Waite. He was born in Kent Town in Adelaide, died, though, in South Africa, in Georgetown. He's a right-hand bat for Australia, and in fact played for South Africa as well. Hard-hitting batsman and medium-pace bowler, also bowled a few off-breaks. He played 2 tests for Australia in the 1938 tour of England at Leeds and the Oval, and opened the bowling. It was the Oval where England made 903 for 7. His analysis in that game was 72 overs, 1 for 150. Which I
don't think was bad. Was it Fleetwood Smith in that game?
Oh, yes. Chuck Fleetwood Smith.
Indeed. I think I might have mentioned that a bit further down somewhere in my little write-up.
Yeah, right, yes. He got the all-time
his one wicket, though, I'll tell you who his one wicket was. It was Dennis Compton, who he was bowled for 1 when the score was a mere 547 for 4.
Well, that's
Straight out of Compton.
That is something to put on your gravestone, isn't it? That you got rid of Dennis Compton.
Yeah.
So there we go. That's half time. That's half time stayed.
Okay.
I can tell you that at half time, at the interval, Orthy is leading by 6 points to 2, Mog. So you're going to really have to up your game.
I'm off to have some performance-enhancing drugs.
Okay. Well, I'm just going to play another little jingle, and the next person the listeners will hear from is Chris Woke.
Greg Matthews, Alan Knott,
Who's that weirdo?
Nigel Sidhu, Neil Mackenzie,
Who's that weirdo?
Dwayne Leverock, Shahid Afridi,
Who's that weirdo?
Chris Harris, Kevin O'Brien.
Who's that weirdo?
All right there, me ducks. Chris Woke here again. Troubling batters in English conditions only, and dragging cricket kicking and screaming into the 21st century. Remember last summer, when our game's warring factions were at each other's throats? I'm reminded of a parent telling their 2-year-old why the kid can't have a ghost pepper shish washed down with black velvet and a triple Jack Daniels chaser. It's not for you. Whether it's county protectionists turfing pro franchises off their Facebook pages, or advocates of newer, shorter forms of the game flicking the V's at anyone who so much as saw David Gower play, the message is clear. You're not welcome here. Well, I decided all that had to change, me ducks. After all, we must demonstrate that all forms of cricket are for everyone, that the whole wonderful, diverse rainbow of our society is welcome at every single cricket event. And do you know how I committed to doing it? Forced inclusion. That's right. My brilliant idea was to take groups that are callously overlooked by each format of the game and jolly well make them attend. As ever in these matters, I was leading the charge personally, as well as charging the ECB separately. And the first step was an initiative called Watch with Woke. So where to start? I thought to myself, Chris, you first need to connect with the cohort that's been most cruelly marginalised by the recent cricket revolution. And obviously, that's white middle-aged men. With that in mind, I recruited a few from the Guerilla Cricket Board of Governors, which is full of them, and off we tootled to a T20 double-header. Getting tickets was a piece of cake or pastry or your confection of choice, because apparently no one had thought to conduct any sort of marketing activity to let people know it was happening. Boston Beardy Specky Gray was dismissive about the product, labelling it just a fucking hit and giggle, but was buoyed by the prospect of nearby beer, as long as I can pay in cash. Grey Beardy Specky appeared more reticent. I don't really like crowds, or noise, or people really, and had brought a thermos of Ovaltine in case the opportunity for a snooze arose. Fat chance, but he didn't know that. Meanwhile, Specky Grey Beardy was as nervous as a kitten at the prospect of knowing nothing about the players on show. Only several hours of furious research, followed by the printing of an entire ream of notes, calmed him down. Must have a word with him about that. Think of the trees. He was particularly chuffed with the grammar school first 11 debut figures he'd unearthed for the women's team's star spinner. Then the three of them got embroiled in an energetic discussion about Derek Underwood and Alan Knott and uncovered pitches in the late 60s. I sighed. It's a long road, this integration process. In the ground itself, and the Guerillas were settling into their unfamiliar environment. This beer's flat, and £7.50 a pint is a fucking scandal. I can barely hear myself think, what about the glorious thwack of leather on Willow? Oh dear, the pavilion end is the river end, but my notes say they're opposite each other. I'll have to change it. Does anybody have a pen? A pen, a pen, my wisdom for a pen. At this point, I must confess, I raised my voice and was warned by a steward that if I used language like that again, I'd be out. As the games unfolded, the Guerillas were beginning to engage, albeit while highlighting some of the wide cultural chasms we're looking to bridge. Why is this fucking spinner tossing it up the whole time? I'd be going for no more than 5 and over. This batsman, sick, is trying to cross-bat everything through mid-wicket. Has he never seen John Edrich? In 1832, on this ground, Clutterbuck clattered a cover drive, hit a pigeon mid-swoop, and was given out caught at Silly Point. But should it have been a dead ball as well as a deceased bird? Nearby, a conventional nuclear family were pretending to enjoy themselves. Then one of the kiddies piped up, "Mummy, this is boring. When does the 100 start?" You can't please all the people all the time, can you? And yet, that is exactly what we must do. In fact, I wrote a working mission statement to that effect. Everything for everyone all the time. The journey home was relatively uneventful, as both BSG, too much flat beer, and GBS, nervous exhaustion, were plumb tuckered out. It was only SGB's frantic scribbling in his notepad that provided any sort of aural accompaniment over the hum of the engine of our luxury electric people carrier. So, that was the successful launch of Watch with Woke. With my grim determination and your support, we'll make our game the paragon of inclusion we all want it to be. Remember, cricket won't right itself. Until next Woke, Jarami Ducks. Next time, the story of when Watch with Woke took an inner-city school party to Radlett to watch Middlesex men's twos.
Craig Matthews, Alan Knott,
Who's that weirdo?
Samuel Sidhu, Neil Mackenzie,
Who's that weirdo?
Wayne Leverock, Shahid Afridi,
Who's that weirdo?
Chris Harris, Kevin O'Brien.
Who's that weirdo?
It's lovely to hear from Chris Woke. I really do admire the work that he's doing amongst the underprivileged in cricket. He's a marvellous example to us all. Let's carry on then with Who's That Weirdo? At the halfway stage, Forthy in the Melbourne standoff was beating Mog by 6 points to 2. 6 points to 2.
And with a stick, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be honest, two of Mog's were sort of slightly dubious half points. But
You've awarded them, you can't take them back.
no, I won't take them back. But even so, what have you got flies in front of you there, Forthy?
Yeah, I've got mosquitoes. We've got
It's mosquitoes. Shouldn't you be wearing one of those hats with some corks? If you've
I
got
was just thinking
mosquitoes.
it's 6 for 2, which was the England-Iran score in the World
I was going
Cup.
to say that.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
good point. Okay.
And also, someone made the rather amusing observation when they see England 6 for 2. They're usually expecting Joe Root to make his version.
Yes, I saw that tweet. That's very, very good, wasn't it?
Quite funny.
I think I need to stand up for the correct way to report scores in cricket. 6 for 2 runs.
Yes.
2 for 6. It just doesn't work, does it? I mean, you could imagine it being 2 for 6 England. In
I've
the
seen
actual
Middlesex
finish.
get that, I think, once.
What, 2 for 6?
Yes.
Wow, that would have been incredible.
Lords on a very overcast morning against Yorkshire.
I imagine that Surrey must have been that when they were bowled out for 14 by Essex. They must have been about 2 for 6 at some point.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to the second part of Who's That Weirdo? Whose go is it, by the way? I'll keep losing track. I think it's Moggs, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Moggs go. Now, this might be up your street. We will soon find out. Or it may not be. Let us see. Jason Hershey, Papua New Guinea. Live cricketer, dead cricketer, or who's that weirdo? That's Jason Hershey, Papua New Guinea.
How do you spell Hershey?
Hershey.
So not of the chocolate producing Hershey's then.
Well, I don't,
Who
unless I
knows?
spelt it wrong. I mean, possibly when I was copying it down, that I did spell it wrong.
Jason Hershey. And
That has been known to happen, I can tell you, as the man who has to then find the notes. And so this bloke doesn't even exist.
This is true. This is true. I did have Mervyn Waite down as Martin Waite for a whole week until we finally got it sorted. But Jason Hershey, Papua New Guinea, and we know that you're a big fan of associate cricket. Is he a live cricketer, a dead Papua New Guinea cricketer, or a Who's That Weirdo?
he's a Who's That Weirdo?
You're absolutely right. Well done. What a wonderful start to the second half of Who's That Weirdo. You get
Fucking
2 points. 2 points. And what was the other thing we're going to do with it? You've got to tell us what he did, or what he does.
He was, I believe, he was an early Australian governor of the territory whilst we still had control of it.
No, you're absolutely nowhere near. He was known as Ocean. He's a hip-hop artist, would you believe it? Tell us more, Tony.
Oh, yeah, right up my fucking alleyway.
Well, yeah, it's also rather misleading in a way, because he was born, although you're right, he is Papua New Guinean. He was born in 1978 in Spokane in Washington, and he now lives actually in Hawaii. He raps and sings most of his songs in Tok Pisin, which is PNG, that's Tok Pisin.
Stop pissing.
Tok Pisin.
Oh, sorry.
Do you know what
against the clock.
means?
I don't know. What does it mean?
It literally means talk person.
Oh.
Not far well in. It's Papua New Guinean
It's a pigeon.
It's a Creole language spoken throughout Papua New Guinea. His most recent single, I can tell you, was "Mama Never Told Me," which was 2021 for Jason, well, now known as Ocean.
Could you sing us a few bars of that?
I'd probably be happier if I didn't. From 1994 to 1997, as a young man, later to call himself Ocean, he did a bit of time in Washington State Prison.
He's got credibility as a rapper.
Burglary, yes. And it was there that he taught himself Tahitian. He carries a Papua New Guinea passport and a US one. So there you go. After serving his time in Washington, he moved to Hawaii, where he found work as a beach boy in the Waikiki, and began developing his music. I was tired of bubblegum reggae, he said, and "Ooh Baby, I Love You" songs. And therefore, that's when
he joined the Beach Boys. That's going to.
And that's when he decided to get into hip hop.
What is bubblegum reggae? I mean, you're an expert on these sort of musical genres, Mog. What is bubblegum reggae?
What you'll find is it very similar to the K-pop variety of kawaii.
Oh yes.
I don't know.
You don't know at all. No, you're making it up.
But you started like you shouldn't have told us you didn't.
No, we were convinced for a while.
Reggae's been sort of raped and pillaged by the West ever since people like Paul Simon and the Police do a kind of version of bubblegum reggae, don't they? It's on the offbeat, but it's
sort of is it
scarish?
Substitute, not quite the real thing type thing, isn't it?
I thought
like
sort
bubblegum
of
pop.
fluffy reggae.
Yeah.
Musical
It's
youth. Or something
it's
like that.
Sanitized commercial reggae.
Sanitized commercial. Right, moving on with the score at Mog 4, 46. We have another Papua New Guinean. It's Liga Siaka.
Yeah.
Is Liga Siaka a live cricketer, a dead cricketer, or a Who's That Weirdo?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked me that one.
Do you know this one? Do you actually know this one?
Oh, I don't know this
No,
one.
right. You were so convincing. You really are.
If you want someone who knows Papua New Guinea cricket, get Knuckle back on.
Probably.
I was up with him once for Papua New Guinea versus Namibia, and he literally did seem to know all of. Anyway, that's not helping me here. Hang on.
I think he'd flown out and met half of them himself just to make sure.
He probably has, actually, to be fair.
Well, you're surely not going to do two weirdos in a row.
Or am I?
Surely Papua New Guinea haven't been going that long playing cricket.
Sure.
He's only just arrived. Therefore, live cricketer.
Yes, you're absolutely right. I couldn't bluff you. He is a live cricketer. Liga Siaka is a live cricketer. And do you want to take a little guess at his name to get an extra point?
His name or his age?
His name.
Sorry, his age. You got his name.
Have a guess at the name.
I've got his name. That would be a gimme. Our age. 36.
No, you don't even get a bonus point because you're miles away. He's 29. He's not only a cricketer who's still living, He's something else as well. In his spare time, he's a fisherman. Tell us more.
Well, he is. He's 29. He was born in Port Moresby. He's an opening batsman, right-hand opening batsman. Bowls a bit of right-arm fast medium and a few leg breaks. Legasiaka. Is it? I don't know. Is it Liga or Lega?
I don't know.
Well, he's the brother of Kenny
Leggy,
Siaka, who was also in the squad for the Under-19 World Cup in New Zealand. And he does combine working with cricket. So it would be a shame if he was brother of Alan Lamb. That would be even better, wouldn't it? Then he'd be Lega Lamb.
Nay.
Yes, he combines cricket with working as a fisherman and compares his style of play to Michael Clarke.
Oh, poor bastard.
He's only played 7 first-class games, but 47 ODIs where he averages nearly 20 and 27 T20s where he averages only 13 and a half. His most recent T20 was versus the USA in Bulawayo. This year he made 28. And his most recent ODI was in Windhoek versus the US a few days ago, in fact, in November. And he only made 5.
That's a terrible shame, isn't it? That's a terrible shame.
Can I ask a bonus point?
Oh, well, maybe. Yeah, go on. Try.
Well, he was born in Port Moresby. What is Port Moresby also known as?
I don't know. Anyone got any ideas? I don't know what Port Moresby is.
It's also known as the capital of Papua New Guinea, I suppose.
Also known as Cheryl.
No. It's also known, referred to as Pom City.
Pom City?
Pom City.
Is it full of poms? I imagine. I think not. Fred's been to Papua New Guinea a couple of times, hasn't he? And they let him out.
Has everyone left?
Amazing, but true. The scores move on at the end of that particular segment to 8 for Forthy and 4 for Mog.
Can I get a bonus point because I've done a jingle for Legasiaka?
Yeah, you can. And did you know him when?
Yeah.
You see?
I knew him.
I'm going to give you.
Do you know? I thought that when I was going through the list. I thought, I surely know this place.
It's so unlucky you didn't get it referred.
I remember
to you,
that.
I was watching him play only like that game against the US not that long ago.
Oh,
I shit you not.
That is tragic.
What's his jingle rock? How's his jingle go?
It's over the top of. I may have borrowed something from a Napalm Death instrumental.
Oh, of course, yeah, absolutely.
And the lyrics and vocal delivery is a little bit operatic, so I probably can't do it at this time of night.
Okay. I do know something about Napalm Death, which I'm sure you also know, which they're responsible for the shortest song of all time, according to the Guinness Book of Records.
Yes, the lyrics of which are "You suffer, but why?"
They're absolutely right, and I totally go along with that.
Cancel it out. That's a bonus point each, surely.
All right, I'll give a bonus point each. Yeah. Very good. In fact, I make a 1.5 to the Mog.
That was on side B of their first album, Scum.
Oh, lovely, lovely.
Which is also notable for having a completely different lineup to that which recorded side A.
Oh, that's interesting.
Is it like the musical equivalent of T10? Make it so short, it's hardly worth doing.
Do they have some?
It's more it's like a what are those stupid golden ball things called? They're called golden balls.
I thought perhaps maybe it was a concussion substitute, but there you go. Back to Mog. The next name that you have to pore over and consider after your unfortunate inability to be able to say about Legasiaka. Is it Lega or Liga? Did we decide? Did you decide?
Lega.
Okay.
I've got Lega.
Okay. Right, the next name is Avidesh Samaru, West Indies. Live cricketer, dead cricketer, or who's that weirdo? Avidesh Samaru.
He's clearly Guyanan, and I'm going to suggest that he is in fact a dead cricketer.
No, you're absolutely wrong. It goes over to Forthy for a bonus point.
I was only suggesting it. I wasn't giving that as much.
Very clever, very clever. No, well, I'm sorry. If you look in the fine print, I think in the contract that I sent over to you, you'll find that that's not allowed. So it's over to you, Forthy. Is he a live cricketer or is he a weirdo?
Well, we haven't done a weirdo for a bit. I'll go weirdo.
You see, you can't just do it on patterns because I'm far too clever for that. So you're absolutely wrong as well. He does turn out to be a live cricketer. What do we know about Avidesh Samaru, Tony?
He's very much alive. He's a West Indian. He's 44 years old. He was born in Trinidad in 1978. Bowls left arm wrist spin, but bats right-handed. He's played 12 first-class games for Trinidad and Tobago. Highest score of 25. Best bowling performance of 4 for 44.
Not bad.
And he's represented once the West Indies Cricket Board. and I think he made in 1995. He made 34 runs and took 3 wickets in a West Indies A for West Indies A twice as well.
There you go. So not a bad career. For a man.
Fairly brief, but yes.
But he's very definitely not Guyanese. He's Trinidad and Tobago. I'm amazed you didn't know more. Move
I
back
thought
to
I'd get that wrong.
who would have thought. Back to fourthie then. Here you go.
Okay.
Here you go, mate. Cameron Iqbal Lone. Cameron Iqbal Lone, live cricketer, dead cricketer, or who's that weirdo? And he or she is from India.
Could you spell the surname, please, Alexander?
Yes, the surname Lone, Lone, as in Lone Ranger. And then the Cameron is with a Q rather than a K. Cameron Iqbal Lone. Or perhaps Lone, who knows? Don't know, I'm not sure.
With a Q.
Yeah, they've got a Q in there, yeah.
I mean, old people don't get called Cameron with a Q.
No.
But Cameron with a Q, though, that sounds like a bit like a rapper or something. So that doesn't sound like it. Sounds like someone who's got pretensions in life, and cricketers don't tend to have pretensions. So I'm going to say weirdo.
Absolutely wrong. It's not a weirdo, so it goes over to Mog for an crucial potential bonus point. Cameron Iqbal Lone, is he a live cricketer or she a dead cricketer?
Well, it's clearly not going to be a weirdo because we've already had one rapper on the quiz thus far.
Yeah.
So by process of elimination, that means...
you don't know which way to go, do you?
live cricketer.
Yes! You are absolutely right.
Fucking hell.
Lone is a live cricketer, and for a bonus point, Mog, that sees you coming up on the stand side, can you tell us how old Cameron Iqbal Lone is right now? Tough. If you can get it on the mark, you get a 4. You'll overtake fourthie. I've never
Imagine getting it on the mark.
This is the first big comeback we've had in a weirdo competition so far. This could be brilliant to be overhauled from a 6-2 interval lead.
Look at those beads of sweat appearing on Forthy's forehead.
Yeah, he's really...
This is serious business.
Glasses have steamed up. Really biting his nails.
57.
No! He's not 57. He's nowhere near 57.
Oh, God, is he 17?
He's 21.
Oh, fuck off.
21. Cameron Iqbal Lone from India is 21. He's well and truly alive, and Tony has more information about him.
Yes, I do. He is, as you rightly say, 21. He was born in Srinagar in Kashmir, represents Jammu and Kashmir. He's an opening batsman, right-handed, and a bit of an up-and-coming star from the valley of Jammu and Kashmir. He's only the 3rd cricketer from the state to hold the limelight after Parvez Rasool and Manzoor Dar. So there you go. Had a very good day. He's a tall lad. Made it into the 30 probables for the under-19s, but failed to make the cut in that 15-man squad. But he's got plenty of time. Age is just 21. Time is on his side.
Well, there you go. It's boiling up into an absolutely stunning match, this one. It's so tense. I can barely get the words out. The score is Mog 7.5, Forthy 9. But this might just be up Mog's street, because the next name we have on the list is Caroline Arthur, Australia. Live cricketer, dead cricketer. Who's that weirdo? Caroline Arthur. Live cricketer, dead cricketer. Who's that weirdo? Really crucial. You can hear the tension could be cut with a knife. Everything's gone very, very quiet indeed, unlike a Mog jingle. I've never seen Mog so quiet. I can see thoughts ticking across his forehead.
Oh, is it my turn? Oh,
it's your turn, Mog. Yeah, sorry. You were just meditating. Okay. Caroline Arthur.
Caroline Arthur is a Who's That Weirdo?
Yes, you're absolutely right. She is a Who's That Weirdo. Do you actually know who she is?
No.
No, you don't know who she is, but you guessed correctly then. Caroline Arthur is a Who's That Weirdo. And tell me, Tony, just how much of a weirdo is she?
Shouldn't I be guessing who she is, what she does?
Oh, yes, of course. Sorry.
Can't go leaving any points on the table at this stage.
Absolutely. You can guess what she does.
This will take you into the lead.
She is in the political sphere. She
that what
was,
you're saying?
I'm not going to say outright a politician,
Right.
but I'm going to say an influential figure in state politics.
Well,
in Queensland.
put it this way, she does have an influential figure, but not in the way that you're thinking. Tell us why, Tony.
Well, I'm surprised that the two of you haven't actually seen her about. She currently lives in Melbourne. She's 45 years old.
There's only 4 million people here, so we're bound to bump into her anyway.
Bump into each other.
Well, you'd recognise her if you saw her.
We're not a bloody country town, you know.
Were she a cricketer, she'd filled at long leg. And I quite like the up your street Hendo, which I think was intentional.
No, it wasn't actually.
But it was very clever, unintentionally. She's a mother of two. She claims to have the longest legs in Australia. Although she's only 186 centimeters tall, which you'll very quickly work out is 6'2", her legs are 4'4" when measured from hip to heel. So her legs are 69% of her body.
Is she a thalidomide baby or something?
No. But she does take sort of a rather strange picture. She was born in Lake Eldon in Victoria. She obviously
Eildon.
Taller. Eildon, is it Eildon? Lake
EI?
That's quite right. Yes.
Like Eildon, yeah.
But she now works as a dermal therapist in Melbourne.
I don't have my appointment till next week, so that's why I haven't seen her.
Her nickname, her favourite nickname for herself is Caroline the Powerline.
Presumably she wasn't born in Lake Eildon. You know, I mean,
It could have been a water burst.
She started modelling at the age of 17 in an attempt to boost her confidence, but initially struggled to get jobs due to her height, until she got a stocking contract, where apparently her legs got featured in loads of commercials.
Actually, do you remember
that's amazing. She's trying to get in the Guinness Book of Records.
Yeah, do you remember the footballer? I do remember another model. I don't know why I know this. The footballer Christian Krembau, the old French player. He was knocking about with Adriana Sklerannikova. I'm sure she was in the Guinness Book, having the longest legs at the time, but I do not know why I can remember that.
Do you think there was I wonder at what point her legs became the longest in Australia, because, did you think she was, when she was very, very young, she had incredibly long legs, or were they later? They come later. I don't know.
More importantly, what's her OnlyFans address?
No, we're not going there.
Right.
Now, the thing is, we have come to the final of the day, and the scores, would you believe? I mean, we've had absolute slaughtering so far in this tournament, but in the Melbourne standoff, it has come. We haven't tried to fix this, listeners. Fix this at all. It's Mog 9.5, Forthy 9, and the final name is for Forthy. So can he grab it at the last, or has Mog come back from that deficit at the halfway stage to claim the title for now? And this is the final name that you're going to get. This is for you, Forthy. Zafar Gill, Pakistan. Zafar Gill, Pakistan.
Well,
dead cricketer, or weirdo.
Umar Gill. There's a Gill who opens the batting for them. It's not him. Zafar Gill. Zafar. Is that a sort of name that cricketers,
Safari.
Javier Zanetti, that doesn't help. Oh, Zafar Gill. I will say, I don't think I'm going to eliminate Weirdo straight away. It doesn't sound like a weirdo. So it's clearly not that. My waters are telling me. I will say, dead cricketer.
No! You're wrong! And Mog, you are the champion of Melbourne. You have done it. You have come back from a 6-2 deficit. You can put up your middle finger to Forthy. You can walk proudly down past, what's the name of that station? The one that's all yellow in Melbourne. Industry Station, with your head in the air, because you have held him off to win. Well, it's not necessarily win, because you might even get a few more points in.
Come on, let's not rub salt into the wound.
No, we need to rub that salt in.
You said dead cricketer, didn't you say dead cricketer? It's not cricketer, so that means, Mog, they are either a weirdo or a live cricketer. Weirdo.
Suddenly I'm paralysed with indecision even more than I was before.
But you can
I'm
relax.
going to go live
It's a
cricketer.
dead rubber. It's a
You
bloody
can't
dead
lose. It's a
rubber,
dead
man.
rubber. You can't lose now. Actually, I should bring something like that in, shouldn't I? That if you get
Next
it wrong,
game, not this one,
Yeah,
next game.
Yeah, next game.
I'm going to say live
What
cricketer.
about what about some sort of Jeopardy? You know, double or nothing, double or your
Clutching at straws,
I don't-
Paul. You've lost, I'm
I don't
afraid.
agree to that.
So, weirdo or live cricketer?
Live cricketer.
No, you're absolutely wrong.
Doesn't
They
matter
are
then, does it?
not a live cricketer, but it does mean that you have won by 9.5 points to 9. And before you go whooping around your front room, jumping for joy, and telling all your cats that you have defeated Forthy, Tony will tell us a bit more about Zafar Gill. Oh, you get to guess what Zafar Gill does, don't you?
Yeah.
Oh no, because you didn't get it right, so you don't.
No,
know.
got it, got
Can
it.
I try and guess anyway? He's in charge of the
both have a
first
go.
industrial
No,
Pakistan bank.
No, I'm afraid. Forthy, do you want to go to see if you can get a half point, a quarter point?
Oh, what?
Will that get me back
Quarter
level?
points only. I'll give you a quarter point if you get this. What
That
is
is- that
Zafar
is
Gill
something
famous
You
for?
were very generous with some of those half points earlier on.
Oh no, yes. So you weren't worried at the time, were you? No, probably was full of confidence.
No, I was
Yeah, where
magnanimous
was
at
that
the time.
complaint when you were 87 points up, huh?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'd say that he was the man who introduced Scrabble to the country.
It's a good guess, and I'm almost tempted to give you a half point, but I'm only going to give you a quarter point, I'm afraid. So you end up with 9.25 to Mog's massive 9.5. We're talking scores here, nothing else.
This is getting very
So
hot.
tell me more about Zafar Gill. What is he famous for? Well,
He has a world record, and should he ever be given a trophy, I think they should name it the Caddick Lineker Trophy. He is the world record holder
Biggest ears?
for ear lifting.
ear lifting.
Ear lifting.
That's not lifting other people's ears. That's
No, in 2007, he set a new weightlifting record. He carried 65 kilograms, which is 143 pounds, just over 10 stone,
On his ear.
with a help of a cord attached to his ear. He lifted it 10 centimeters off the ground for just 7 seconds. But nonetheless, he did it. He did a modest warm-up of a 30-kilo weight and then took the world record-breaking 67 kilogram amount with only a brief cry of pain. He only weighs
sure I
90
could
kilos
lift.
himself, trains every day, but insists he's never had any hearing problems due to his specialism.
Do we know how old he is?
No, I
They
couldn't find his age
He could develop
anywhere.
hearing problems, couldn't he, over time?
That quite possibly.
No, he's going to be absolutely screwed when he's in his 70s,
Yeah.
surely.
Absolutely, I would have thought so.
Does he do that through like a piercing in his earlobe, or how does this work?
Yeah,
Well, it's a very
right,
good question. Well, you can look him up, as indeed I had to. But it didn't go to quite that degree of forensic depth, Mog, I'm afraid, in the technical information. He does wear, apparently, a kind of special headwear that protects his temple from damage. So presumably, I don't know, sort of a harness thing. But he actually has to lift with his ear.
So there you go. That is it. That is the Melbourne standoff of Who's That Weirdo. Forthy started well, went into a 6-2 lead, but he was caught up by Mog's just unbelievable brilliance in the second half of the show, and he sneaked past
story.
the win by 9.5 points to 9.25, which of course means, Mog, you will now be the reigning champ. We also have another reigning champ, which is a confusing thing. But next week we've got a special edition of Who's That Weirdo. But it does mean that in a couple of weeks you'll have to come back on again. But I imagine now that you're fully acquainted with the show and you've got this one win under your belt, that you're feeling pretty confident about life.
Oh, look, I'd just like to say a few thank yous at this point, mostly to myself for being so good. I'm not sure. Thanks, Forthy, for showing up and being so gracious as to get spanked so painfully in the second half. It really did appear like you just weren't bothering at all because you thought you had me, and you that sort of hubris and arrogance really does bring people low in this kind of game.
That was a real Stephen Bradbury performance, if I might say.
Is that a lesson? Will you learn lessons from that, Forthy?
What lessons would you like me to learn?
I don't know.
Know
more about obscure people?
Well, bear in mind that I'm a Coventry City supporter, so I've had a lifetime of learning how to lose from unlosable situations. That hasn't been difficult.
I'm a Richmond supporter, so I know suffering as well.
Yeah.
We all know
Yeah,
suffering.
bringing
All
us
of
back
us.
to napalm death. Bringing us back to napalm death.
Like life,
Well.
sport is suffering, isn't it, basically? Anyway, that's it for this week's edition of Who's That Weirdo? It's been a lot of fun. I hope you've enjoyed listening to it. We've enjoyed sitting here talking nonsense. And we will be back next week with a really special edition. And then the following week, Mog will be back on, if we can get hold of him, at 11 o'clock at night in Melbourne to take on another interesting person. Thank you to Mog. Thank you to Forthy. Thank you to Richard Osman, stroke Tony Bishop. And from me, Xander Armstrong, otherwise known as Guerilla Handler and Nigel Henderson, it's goodbye from me.
Craig Matthews, Alan Knott,
Who's that weirdo?
Emil Sidhu, Neil Mackenzie,
Who's that weirdo?
Dwayne Leverock, Shane Freed,
Who's that weirdo?
Chris Harris, Kevin O'Brien.
Who's that weirdo?